final battle. They're going after Trump, and if they can get Trump, it means they can get you, they can get me, they can get all of us. He is standing in the way, and that can sound like a campaign slogan, but it's very true. Now we're approaching the most important battle of our lives. Now, for the very first time in American history, a sitting president's DOJ has indicted his top political rival ahead of a presidential campaign. When they indicted me for nothing, I said, now the gloves are off. Now we have to say if I can. Now we're approaching the most important battle of our lives. If you fuck around with us, if you do something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before. When we get back power, I don't really want to have peace with these people who did this to us and are continuing to do this to us. We have to turn the tables on them, give them a dose of their own medicine, and then we can even the playing field, and then we can discuss unity.
Well, good evening, my beautiful people. This is a wonderful day that the Lord has made, and I am so grateful to be in it, alive, and a part of it. And let's get underway. Let's get to business. And first thing is that we need to pray and forgive me of my hat hair. I've been out sweating all day. I've been playing golf, and I have a hair appointment to get my hair cut first thing in the morning. So, till then, looks all nappy, and I'm okay with it. So, dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just ask you, Lord, we ask you to continually lead us and guide us each and every day in everything that we do. We know that those little things are important to you just as the big things are. And Father, we just ask that you lead and guide our steps into all of those things. And Father, we are grateful that you're concerned about that. And you're concerned of all of the things that are important to us and know us like nobody else. And Father, you know us and know the exact amount of hairs that I have on my head. And Father, I thank you for that importance in what we mean to you and that we could never separate ourselves from you. Father, we just thank you. And Lord, we ask for your discernment and that the people have the discernment and all that's going on right now because there is so much confusion that the enemy is trying to push out there using people as just useful idiots. And Father, we just forgive them of their misleadings and their misguidings. And Father, we ask that you change and direct their steps just as they need to for your purpose and for your will to be done because it will be done. And Father, we thank you for it. And Lord, we ask for a hedge of protection around everyone that's on this call, each of us, Father. And Lord, we ask for a hedge of protection around our president, our military, and all those that are doing those things that are in your behalf for your glory and to bring your plan to manifestation. Father, we thank you. And Lord, we just ask for your blessings and to continually shine a light on those things that need to be resolved in our own lives and that we can come closer to you each and every day. Father, we just thank you for it. We praise you for it. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 All right. So tonight we have our wonderful guest, Robert Kraft, and from our United Republic. And then we have our wonderful Kelly, which she's the one that always keeps us all on track. And this was from Saturday's show that had to be canceled and rescheduled for tonight. And I think it was a good thing because it gave Robert some time to do some things he needed to do as well. And that some other things have happened between now and then as
Yes,
well
they have.
that have and will shine more of a light onto those things in which are happening right now as well as that are coming down the pipe. And so with that, Robert, good to see you. Kelly, great
Good.
to see you as well. You and your whatever gift face that you got up there with a flag on.
Good to see you as well, guys.
If I didn't know what you look like, and I would think, oh, I don't even know this is girl who she is, but it's all good. So Robert, what's shaking in your back pasture?
Man, we've been busy. And and hey, I want to thank you for consideration with Plato. Um things happen the way they happened. Uh that'll get dealt with when this thing washes out. But I did learn a lot, and I'm going to say this: I did not understand the correlation of monetizing through the veterinary system our animals. How it actually was so. It was just another continued part of the system of how they monetized us, and I had never been exposed to that side to realize that this really is a war about anything that you care about. If you care about it, they will figure out a way to monetize it, and then they will commercialize it, and they will use it against you to liquidate, anything you've ever worked for. And that's the game that they're playing. Whether you care about your kids, you care about your animals, you care about your faith, you care about your property, you care about your job, your employment, whatever it is, they will figure out a way to manipulate it to get it away from you. Um and or exploit you into submission,
Yes,
essentially.
that's the key
So
thing, and to
so
continually tax those that would not normally be taxed is the way that would be phrased, right?
yeah.
Um, I heard a commercial the other day talking about the pet ownership and how that you have to get your dog licensed every single year to be legal, to be a legal pet owner in the county in which I live in, which is, freaking giant. But still, and one of the last parts of what it said was that this is a part of responsible legal pet ownership and to do it yearly. And it's like, I got to go and get my dog or cat or animal registered with this. If my animal don't even go outside, okay, like my
Right.
cat, that animal would never be in contact with the public, period, unless it goes to the vet for whatever reason. That's absolutely ridiculous that I've got to go get a freaking license for my pet every year to stay in uh, legality with the county, that it's okay for me to have a pet and to be a responsible pet owner. And I was just thinking to myself, are y'all just fucking crazy? I
Yeah.
mean, really?
Yeah. They're crazy. That's exactly it. So what's going to happen, what I foresee in the future is all these things that we value and we care about, religion, our pets, our children, our 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 property, all this stuff is being taken away from the counties. It's being taken away from the federal government. It is going to be put inside the equity side of North America. It is going to be with the judge advocates in equity courts, and it's going to be private, and that's going to be the end of it. Prescriptions, national health care. We're going back to the nursing corps, the doctors corps, the what is it? Community emergency response. That's the volunteer, not volunteer, not the volunteer of today where it's like do all this work for free. The volunteer of 1700 where it's you're willing to do the job, but the Bible requires you to be paid for your works. You're willing to do it, great, but you're gonna receive labor's not free. You have a right to be compensated for labor. So we're going
So
back
do
to all
y'all,
that.
hey, let me ask you that. Since you are part of the emergency services, right?
Right.
And I have too as well. And like, this is one of my emergency response cards. Let me see if I can show any of this. I can show like that part of it. It says
Yeah.
SEMA and emergency responder on the bottom.
Right.
Everything else got too much information. I can't show you.
Right.
So that itself, and so what they would do is, and this is with the volunteer part of that, right, for the city and all that. You got paid $3 per call. And they had a little tally of that, $3 per call, whatever. And you can get a retirement from it too, from the state and all that after so many years of service and blah, blah, blah,
Right.
whatever, right?
That's what they do.
But
That's what they do up here in Maryland. They
so
have
do
that in
y'all
Maryland.
get the $3 or $2 per service call or whatever, and then you
Me?
get a little bitty baby check, like, on top of that, but whatever. I mean, that's really what it is. It's retarded, and
Right, but
you
but
did
but
like 10 calls, you got $30 for the month, right?
right. But here's the problem. This stuff's coming out of your trust.
Yeah,
There's no reason that you're not being compensated with your own trust that's backing what's coming. Like, that's what the trust is for you to be a fair and just compensation for doing those jobs. And it's supposed to come from you. And it
yeah,
is coming from you.
and
The
that's
problem
the
is it's
actual
going to
QV.
Congress.
That's your QV trust that pays for
That's
everything.
right. But that's going to Congress. So Congress has been receiving it, and then they turn around and make the states and everybody else fund it a different way while they're just collecting it. Well, that's over with. Now we're going to move the whole damn thing over. We're going to have judge advocates in our equity courts. We're going to have our own administrators, our own private administrators, our own private tribunals, our own private stuff. and oh, we need that service. Fine, boom, and it's going to come through an administrative grant that's coming out of Treasury because you're going to have your own separate administrator. And guess what? Congress, bye. We don't want you. We don't want you. We don't need you. Go away. Don't go away mad. Just go away forever. Goodbye. Get out. Federal government. See ya. Done. We're done. And that's the game that they've been playing. They've been getting us to sign up for all this stuff so that they can take the stuff out of our trust and then tell us that we have to figure out a way to fund it ourselves. That's the game that's been getting played.
And that's funny because this is what a lot of people had never known. It's like if you go down and you get a loan at the bank, that note is being actually paid for through your trust, that then they're loaning the money back to you after it's already been paid, and then they're giving you an interest rate based upon your ability to repay the loan that is already paid off in full by your trust before it ever was loaned to you. And it is a clusterfuck. So your credit rating, it should be the other way around. We have the credit rating and we're loaning them the money, and do they have the ability to repay the money? That's the way it's supposed to be. And it's
so that would be true. Here's the problem. The problem is everybody is locked in the public sector.
Yes.
Nobody can get into the private sector. Okay. And when you get into the private sector and you get your trust administrator and you get your stuff, you're supposed to have that. You're not, so they're not loaning the money to you. They're loaning the money to your corporate persona.
Your straw man.
Technically a straw man, because that's your public persona.
Yeah.
But when you get moved to the private, you're supposed to have a trust administrator. That trust administrator is supposed to make sure that your general welfare is taken care of. Why? Because the damn preamble, the Constitution, says provide for the general welfare. So the trust is supposed to be administered to pay for your general welfare because you are now an American. You are not the public. And that's the problem. They got everybody locked in the public. Nobody can get into the private sector, and nobody has their trust administrators. Nobody has their trust set up. And these communities, these organizations, like none of these community assemblies are put together and are operating in their proper jurisdictions and formed up the right way. So everybody's just defaulted to remain in the public.
Yeah, and that's it was set up that way on purpose because you didn't actually. So, like, just let's roll this back just a second.
Go ahead.
This is leading into some of the things we're going to talk about tonight. And this is great because God's kind of led us here to start with it. And, a lot of people's concerns are finance or money and everything else and what they don't have. But what you don't realize is that you are wealthy beyond your understanding, and you will get this money. But the deal is that these transference of you that is in, like Robert just said, of being in the public to the private, and then having this accessibility to your trusts, because not only do you have trust, but you also have bonds and stuff that are set up in your name. I have millions of dollars. I've looked them up, and I know they're there. If I had a trading account, I could find my QV trust too, because it's there. But I don't have that access. But I'm not concerned about it because it's tens of millions of dollars. I know what it is. And we all have it. It. And the thing is that this is how they funded everything. This is how they made so much money. And this goes all the way back to the 1400s of how they did things. And even I believe earlier than that, but that's the earliest that I've been able to track back where the QV trusts actually come from and how they operate. And they've been a standing operating procedure with the financial element of society ever since. But back to where we were at. So when you turned 18 years old, basically it was designed because we were under maritime jurisdiction and law that you were considered lost at sea and that you didn't claim as an adult to be able to get the trust that was established for you when you were born. And because of that, they're the administrator and a beneficiary because they're in on it because they funded it in the beginning. um, and that part of it is where these trusts and the organizational structure that you're working on, as well as the ups working on down for this cohesion of the two to come together so that we will have those abilities, um, are operating right now. And so, what is going to take place here in the future, the counties are going to be the power that has been taken away from the counties in which you're in. And this is where everything's going to go back to your own individual local communities. And what I think Robert's working on right now, what the military's working on, is that the ability to bring those together in a way that um, gets everybody out of being lost at sea back onto land, and then not only back onto land, but out of the public sector and into private, which there has been no private because the equity has been non existent. Now those courts and those jurisdictions are being reestablished. And in doing so, you don't have to try to put the cart before the horse and figure out all this stuff because it was never meant for you to ever understand any of this stuff. And we're all going to kind of learn as the process takes place because you're not going to have to figure it out. That's the good thing. You got people like Robert, myself, and others that are trying to work on it on this side, bringing the public awareness to that it's happening. But then you've got the real powerhouses, which are the military and the people that are above, that are bringing it into a place that will bring light upon this needs to be done, that needs to be done, this has how it needs to happen for the average person to be able to not feel overwhelmed and to participate in what's going on. And so, with that being said, there are trusts that you're starting to establish. Somebody asked a question the other day, wanted me to answer it about having a common trust that I set up for myself. I did not set up a common law trust, okay, because we're not operating in common law yet, but we are getting closer to that. But what I did is I had a land trust, which basically is putting all my assets and all my stuff into a trust that makes my wife a beneficiary, makes my son and daughters beneficiary, as well as me as a beneficiary. And my attorney is actually the administrator, right? And he does what I want to. And all it does is it's a protection for me that you can't you can't sue me for something that I don't own because it's in a trust. And yes, I'm the beneficiary of the trust, but the if you sue me, all you're going to get is me as a beneficiary and not the actual trust because of the way it's set up. And what Robert's trying to do here is kind of the same thing, but in a manner that is taking it 10 steps further and using it as a community thing and an organizational thing that brings us back onto as a private, because see, mine's still public even though it's set up that way. It's still not a private deal yet
Right. It's not
because
a true private
that's
deal.
correct, because
Right.
that's the best I could do with what the tools that I had to operate within. So you could sue me, but the most you're going to get out of me is $1. Whoop-de crap,
Right.
$1,
Right.
and
And
pay
and
my
and and
expenses.
when they sue you in civil court, they're actually not suing you. They're suing your personas, your
Yes,
personas, which is they're actually suing your trust under civil law, which is why there's limits and all this other stuff. You're not supposed to pay anything when you get sued. They are suing the actual trust itself with its limitations, and the civil judge is supposed to process that trust and for damages and then discharge that out of your account. They're not doing that. They're literally taking what's coming out, taking it all, and then they're telling the individual that got sued that he didn't even really get sued, that he's responsible to pay this stuff that was already paid so that they could keep it. That's what they're
yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah. And so,
So
all right, so I want to, and we're going to go through some questions here with what you were talking about with setting up some common land trust for your organization, right? And for the community levels, and how that process kind of works. And I want you to kind of explain it high level because it's in a teaching class right now.
right,
Just that this is what's actually happening, and kind of an overview, because um, it's important that you just know that these things are coming and how they're being established. And if you're in a position already to move forward in something like that, well, then great. If you're not, don't feel left out, because it's okay. It's for everybody. Everybody's gonna get it. It's not like anybody's gonna get left behind. That phrase, that nobody left behind, is exactly what it is. Where we go one, we go all. That is an actual true statement, not just a catchphrase. And why? Because you got people like Robert and stuff working on these uh, lawful ways for the establishing of our communities, but then you also have the lawful implementation of that from the top down, that's going to bring it all to bear whenever we go into um, full military control, because the government's going to have to go bye bye. It's going to have to go down. And that means all the way
right,
down to county level. That's the reason that I told you guys that um, they're going to actually start martializing the military, operating within the public jurisdiction. I already read to y'all from what it says in the Defense Authorization Act of 2025, making it for the Army to operate within the public jurisdiction.
yep,
And it's there. I've already told you. But then when they martialize them, they're also going to martialize the police departments that are not corrupt, that are going to get taken down, or the couple that are there that are good. Why? Because they're corporate entities, and the police departments don't have jurisdiction at all.
right,
Period.
correct.
And so, let me just finish this. I'm going to give you the platform from there. Take it from where exactly everything I'm leading up to. Okay. Um, and so once they martialize them, they're going to martialize veterans as well that want to go back into servant and to help. They're going to bring on the opportunity for you to become martialized and become another service to your country on bringing the country back into a lawful jurisdiction. That's
Yep.
key word, lawful jurisdiction, and how it's going to be portrayed. So, with that, how are you operating right now to prepare yourself for what I just said is coming? It's all
You're talking
you.
to me. Oh,
Yep.
oh,
It's all you.
so
They're
so
not.
that's
They're
exactly
not doing it yet. This is
Right.
why I said, what are you doing for what I just said is
Right.
coming?
Right.
That's what you know to
So
be happening too.
what we're doing, so everything you said is exactly in line with how our organization was set up,
Yep.
exactly what the intent was. The exact intent was to get the U.S. Marine Corps in its American Continental Marine capacity and U.S. Army in its American Army capacity, overriding posse comitatus and getting them operational within their proper jurisdictions within the United States, in North America, in America. That was the goal of the organization from jump. When we decided to go down this road, we knew that we had to get rid of posse comitatus because that is what they used to be able to facilitate all this corruption. Was built around the concept of the military cannot act as a mechanism of force within the United States. And they're like, we're protecting the American people. They weren't protecting the American people. They're protecting themselves. That's all
That's
they were
exactly
doing.
right.
And then they built all these layered law enforcement mechanisms and all these different departments and all this other stuff to make sure that the one thing that needed to happen didn't happen, which was the U.S. Marine Corps and the U.S. Army were operating domestically, period, with the veterans. And that's what they locked out. That's what they did. So we knew that that was the goal. Get rid of them, get Congress exiled and evicted, get posse comitatus overridden, roll us back to 1812, and get the Army and the Marine Corps back in and get the veterans reactivated domestically to act as the American militia and get them all put together lawfully, operating on orders, on lawful orders, on on general law orders, on equity law orders, exercising warrants, on all that stuff through our judiciaries, through our proper lawful courts, and not a free-for-all. This is a free-for-all, right? This is a process, a judicial process to execute these warrants and get these things done. We knew that. So we knew that going forward, this is the mission. We have got to get Congress out. We got to get them evicted. We've got to get the Marines and Army back in. Everything that we've done has been moving in that direction to get that goal done. So right now, this is where we're at. We have figured out how to put the organization in place, how to get it in the right jurisdiction, how to move the assets into where they belong, how to get them out of the federal government, get them out of the states, and get them into the actual United States of America, domestic. So we've got that done. I'm actually in Virginia right now. We just did it. So we've opened up the connection. We are about to start moving this piece of land out of Virginia into the United States of America in the Virginia territory. That is what's going to happen with this piece of land once we set everything up. And I just finished. We got one more step to do tomorrow, and we'll have everything that we need to start originating those North American security instruments that we're allowed to originate. And because we've been authorized by Treasury to originate North American security instruments and actually move this asset out of the county, out of the state, and put a new title on it, an Aboriginal title. Something that's great. I don't know if you saw my video earlier. The letter went to the tribe. They're making 20 something copies that's going out to all the tribes in the First Nations. And the initial response was the tribe has said that this is the first time that anyone has proposed anything to them that actually looks like something that has been mutually beneficial to both sides. Both sides benefit from the relationship, and it's an improvement for both parties to go a step forward together in a amicable friendship relationship. I was just notified earlier today the Kingdom of Hawaii has caught wind of this. They have requested a copy of the letter, and it sounds like they're interested in actually joining at the same time with the First Nations to move all their lands into our American trust and put us as their guardians in the jurisdictions that they don't fill, because that's really what their problem is. They have land rights, but they do not have royalty rights. They do not have mineral rights. They do not have ground rights. So the organization we put in has those things, and we want them to be our land representative, our land sponsor. And by putting us together, we hold the actual North American patents by the actual elements of all the patents being represented through sponsorship. So that is a big thing. And my understanding is the first time that the tribes are even open to considering this kind of mutual relationship to work together. And I mean, I can't, what do you say to that? What do you say? How long has it been that they've been, so the fact that they're willing to put that trust in us, they're willing to put that trust in me. I've been told that I have to come out and participate in the ceremony. The tribe has said that they are going to declare me extended family so that I can actually represent the tribe properly. And we have that bond, that relationship. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of, and that's a big thing. That's a lot of trust. They're putting a lot of trust in me to get this job done. And I'm doing it. But even it does get a little surreal that someone would trust you that much.
What's funny is that I was just thinking about Abraham Lincoln, and Abraham Lincoln actually served in his militia, never actually did any actual combat in his militia and stuff, but actually he used to fight and things like that quite often, actually. And he was actually a part of the Brotherhood of the Indian Nation. They made him a brother specifically.
Really? I didn't know that.
They did. And that was something that when you were saying that, this first thing I thought about was Abraham Lincoln, because that's what he did. And it was key because of how when they do those things, you're being brought into the family basically. So that their connection to you is more than just business. It's family.
Right.
That's where everything operates from the tribal nations, so to speak, right? And it was really, when you were saying that, it just caught my attention a lot. And I used to live in Hawaii as well, and they've been, ever since back then, they've been trying to gain their sovereignty back forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is really awesome. It was exciting for me when I heard it, because this is a step in that direction for them specifically of their sovereignty again.
Hey, well, you know what's interesting is that just came out of the blue. Like I didn't even, all of a sudden I'm being told, hey, they found out about this. They want to know more about it. Can I share the letter? And I was like, that letter was sent to the tribe. That's the tribe's letter. If they're willing to let them have it, then send it to whoever requests it. I have no problem with that, because everybody's gonna be treated the same, so it doesn't really matter. We're all in this mess together. Doesn't really matter. So we're gonna have to work together to get out of this mess, because there isn't anybody that they've done this to.
Yeah, they've tried to keep us all separated and keep us divided and never come together in any kind of shape, form, or fashion. And that's what is being undone now. And it's actually a really beautiful thing. It really is. And going to those things in which people are probably thinking to themselves, well, how do I get involved in this right now as well, with my property and my county and so on and so forth? The one thing that I wanted to ask from my benefit, so that they could hear, because it'd be a question, I'm sure, If you don't own your home outright, but you're still in a mortgage, is it still a option to do this? How does that work? Try to
That's
explain that the best that you can. And
that's a great question. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I
because
didn't mean to finish.
there's a couple different actual loans, right? You could have a first mortgage, which you've paid, like say, half your home off or whatever, and so on and so forth. Or you've actually paid your home off before, and then you have a home equity loan on it, say $50,000 or $75,000 home equity loan, which is not the same thing, because you've already actually paid it off, and it's not a second mortgage either. And how would all of that kind of play into how this functions, or have you even thought about that in the different types of mortgage structures, so to speak?
Well, interesting that you actually bring this up because we have been very adamant about we are not participating in that space, right? We really have severed ourselves from any part of that system. Okay. However, an interesting thing happened the other day. I was introduced to a group that's operating in the Western Hemisphere, and apparently this group has specialized in discharging mortgages through the commerce through Navy, and actually had success. And they have their process. And we talked for about an hour and a half. And at the end, I'm like, this is really fascinating because now what's going to happen is we have people that are in their primary residence, that's where they live, that's their home, that's not supposed to have a mortgage on it, that's part of their general welfare, but we can't get them moved because this note is sitting on there that's a federal note that's being held by a lending institution. Well, that's fine. Now, and at the end of the conversation, I said, this actually makes it easier for us. We can actually bring them in. Yep, they're good to go. Everything's good to go. We got all their stuff on this side done. Shuffle them over to them. They run them through this process to discharge it, get it discharged, get their trust administered through the Navy, however they do it. I don't really, that's outside of my scope of what I've been participating in. However they're doing it, they knew that had to go through the Navy to get done. So they already knew. So that's a big thing, them knowing that. And me knowing we don't operate with the Navy. The Navy can only come into our space with a sponsor through Space Force or the Air Force or the Army or the Marine Corps. That's it. They're not allowed in. They have to be sponsored by one of them. So that's actually what the plan is now. Once all the other stuff, sorry about that.
No,
Once all the other stuff is done, we're just going to shuffle them over and then spin them through, let the mortgage, that's our primary residence, that's this, that's that, discharge it through their trust, administer the trust, zero it out, then transfer the land into either the holding company, depending on where we are, or from the holding into the holding company, and then transfer it back into their local community branch trust that's off the holding company. So yeah, there's actually a plan for that.
Because most people are going to be in that category, that they do not need to be in or never was supposed to be in, but you're in it. And because you're in it, then basically there is a way now. So I was led to ask this question specifically the way I asked it on purpose, because
it's funny you asked that.
I knew there was an answer because I was told there was, but I didn't know it. He said, make sure you ask it this way. And I'm not talking about a person, for the answer. So this is the reason that I did what I did, so that it gives you the ability to get out of that death pledge that you were never supposed to be in. How about that?
Yeah. And like I said, this only happened 2 days ago. and it was really a good thing.
And you and I talked about this. I didn't know that.
Yes, we have. And I said I didn't know. I said I don't know how that's going to handle. I didn't have an answer for that back then, but this is what this organization does. That's their thing. That's their wheelhouse. Okay. That's what affiliation, that's the freedom of association, the freedom of affiliation, the freedom to contract alliances is where power comes from. When you're taking an organization like that, that's their wheelhouse, and you're plugging into our organization, and you're taking the tribes, and you're plugging that in, and you're taking the kingdom, and you're plugging that in, and then you're taking the veteran, you're plugging them in. That is where a political body becomes a mechanism of absolute political force, because they've optimized their adaptability. They know where they're strong, and they know how to plug in where they're missing. Just like the agreement we had with the affiliation agreement with the Michigan General Assembly. Those people, those guys are doing a great job of handling people coming in that want to get their stuff done. They are doing a great job. That was one of the best affiliation agreements we ever made, and it has been nothing but beneficial, nothing but fruitful. So, and that relationship's gonna grow now that we're getting into this part of actually installing the trusts where they belong. They're going to continue their processing, and they're actually going to upgrade and be doing more to help get that done.
So when you and I kind of started this journey together, not your part, but
Right.
us, there was a lot of things that we did not know on how this was all going to work. And when I tell you that your steps are ordered and that God is able to direct those steps, it means that you're not moving completely blindly, but you are moving. And because you're moving, it gives God the ability to redirect you or to bring things into your path that needed to actually happen. So there was a lot of things that have happened down this journey exactly that way, where it was like, oh, we were doing this. Oh, nope, it had to go this way. And that was one of those course corrections that was like, I never saw that coming. There were a lot of those things actually happening and have happened multiple times, actually. And to go back and kind of reflect on this journey, even with your experiences within the transportation aspects of things actually move around, and how that's become enlightened. You would have never known these things just sitting on your couch trying to figure all this shit out. Would never happen.
Nope. You had to go there. You got to go there.
You had to
you got to experience it to even understand or to grasp the concept. You really have to go there. And that's a big part of this. And you guys have seen, I've done a lot of traveling, different places. I'm probably going to be in Manhattan tomorrow because I've got to do some stuff there. Because I've got to adjust the organization at our access points in Manhattan because they're a little bit off from how we're structured now that I have to go there and adjust.
Oh, you froze up.
In a different. Oh, hold on.
You're good.
All right.
Yeah, you froze up for a second, but then it came back up.
So they were telling us they'd stop talking about that. So anyways,
yeah.
So it's, but it's been this tweaking, this adjusting stuff that's important because we did all these other things and those things are still out there, but they need to be adjusted as you grow. Just like shutting down our access point in the Federal Triangle at the International Trade Center. We're not under an international trade treaty anymore. We have our own separate North American private equity air court that we are under that court order now. So we're not operating under the trade treaty anymore. So we have to shut those access points down because it causes static, right? It's not speaking the same frequency. So you got to shut it down because it doesn't belong there anymore. You got to grow up. You got to move up. You got to step up. You can't leave your foot on the bottom step and try to get to the 10th step. You got to leave the bottom step and step up. And that's really what's happened with the organization as we've grown and as we've put in these access points and done these other things and these affiliations and the stuff with US Treasury. I mean, to get the girl, so Christy Leffert is our international representative. She's also the daughter of the American Revolution. She is the Space Force vetted individual that deals directly with Space Force when we deal with Space Force. She is our representative for them. Okay, so she deals with them because I'm busy. I don't have time to talk to everybody. So, she used to work on Wall Street with security instruments on Wall Street, right? When we got approved after 4 hours to issue North American private security instruments, she was like mind bent. Like it blew her away. She's like, do you understand companies? It takes years to get approved to originate security instruments. Years. You had 4 hours. That's impossible. It never happens.
Remember when I told you, even privately, that there were individuals that were working in your behalf that was at the highest level that you would be absolutely blown away if you knew it. And there was a time that when Space Force came into the picture and everything else, that you or I were even able to talk about it for a time being.
Right.
So just to give people a better understanding that things are being plugged in every aspect. There's no T being uncrossed. There's no I not being dotted during this process. And the key to everything, this is what, and I'm so thankful that Robert's had to go down this path because I've kind of gone with him, but
yeah,
in the rearview mirror, so to speak. I'm not doing it physically, but I am participating in that manner. But the part of it is that the key thing that has to actually happen, and that's whenever basically let's just say the time of darkness of when the old is put away and the new is being implemented and crossed into coming to life. That period of time is where all of the crossover points and all of the bridges within the gapping that is there right now will actually take place, and the lights, so to speak, will come on in all of those areas that we didn't even see that needed to be done, because the bridges are already there. We just can't see them yet, but they're there. And so to be encouraged that when the lights go out, just like his keeps going out, that whenever the lights go out, and I'm not meaning that you're going to be in total darkness, but I mean when communication stops in that aspect and the military steps in fully and the federal government as we know it goes away, the banking system goes away, as it has been this corrupt organization, this is when the republic will begin to actually come to light. And as it does, that's whenever you as an individual will be born again, so to speak, because right now you're considered dead, but you will come to life. And when you come to life, you're going to be plugged into all of these new and wonderful things that you didn't even know existed. And it's like, this is why it's so incredible right now, Robert, is because we're on this path that we don't even realize that we're really truly on. And it's an individual journey that we're all taking collectively, but it's our own individual experience. And
Yep.
so, kind of going toward from that is that those that are still asleep, don't even bother talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
Let the events actually happen, and they're going to have their little light come on. And just it's when that happens, then you're there to kind of talk them through it. And you're only going to be able to talk through the things in which you truly know and understand. So don't get out of your space or your comfort zone. Just know that everything is being handled. Everything. God is not leaving anything not done. That's why it's kind of taking a little bit more time than we ever even really expected, but this was always the time from now me going back and looking back and reflectiveness. Um, but we always thought it was going to be sooner and quicker, and it was not. But this is the perfectness of God, knowing exactly how it's all going to unfold. And he never wanted me to know this, even though I knew where we were going. I'd been there, experienced it many times. He was like, "Nope, sorry, this experience you signed up for, the journey part, the awakening part to how we're making this transition." And this is making specific relationships with certain people and connecting the dots. And there's a lot of dots I connect and share publicly, but then there's dots that I connect and share privately with only a couple of people. And then there's dots that I don't even share with no one because I am not able to. And that's okay because it's even my experience. And so I want you to just be encouraged. Just think about where you were 5 years ago. Think where you're, what, 2 years ago, and where you're at today and all you've been through. And you're still here and you're going to be here tomorrow and you're going to continue on. But man, I tell you what, you're so close to stepping around that corner and having a completely different perspective and vision on everything that it's going to blow your freaking mind when it happens. So don't give up hope. Don't lose that expectation of what's coming. Don't let the enemy rob you of that because it's still going to happen. And so it's better to have a good attitude and a grateful heart getting to that than it is to be pessimistic. It ain't happening. This is that and that, because all that's doing is making your life miserable, but it's also making the people around your life miserable as well. And the thing is, that's going to happen anyway. And when it does, you're going to be thinking back to yourself. You will, mark my words, you will think back to yourself and go, you know what? The last 6 months or year or however long it was that I was in this bad attitude because shit wasn't going my way or it didn't happen the way I thought it was or whatever. And now it's this. And it's like, I had a choice of what train I was going to choose. The train that was good, happy, and positive and caring about people and their space, or this train over here that was pissed off, hating life, and bitching and complaining every day. But then we both ended up at the same station, and I can look over at the train where all the people were happy, and that just pissed me off even more. So we're all going to the same freaking place. But it's a choice how
Yeah.
you wake up and how you experience every single day. Do what you can. Go for a freaking walk. Do those things that you have the ability to do. But what you do have the ability to change is how you actually respond every single day of waking up. You don't have the ability of how people around you are, but you do on how you are personally. And I ask you, is it, I heard somebody today. She was like, "Oh, I ain't got nothing to complain about." And then the lady said, "Well, there's a lot of things you can complain about." And I said, "Yeah, but what does that do for you other than piss you off and piss all the people off around you?" and that doesn't make anybody good. So it is a choice. And they both sit there and looked at me like I was speaking some kind of foreign language. And then they were like, you know, he's right. And it's like, yeah, it's a choice. You can bitch and complain, or you can not bitch and complain, or you can actually have a good attitude, and then it changes the people's attitude that are around you. Maybe not at first, but eventually it will. And so, all right, before we get into questions, because they're going to be probably all over the place, um, what do you have that is important to what we're talking about right now, right? That you want people to know before we get over to questions?
The only thing that that's come up recently that people probably need to understand is um this organ like this thing that's happening. This is a multi-faceted event. So one of the hardest things that's been complicated for people, and a lot of people who've had to talk to me or whatever, they're like, how do you keep this straight? Like, how do you know which one of these is this part versus which one's this part versus which one's this part? And I thought it was just this. No, it's not that. There really are these different divisions, and you have to play in each division. You have to be there. You have to have a presence, whether you're the capacity that you're exercising that division may be very minimal, but you still have to have your toe in the water in that division. And I think a lot of people um, don't really understand. So there's a lot of times that I'll talk about like certain laws, or I'll talk about the Declaration of Independence, but then I'll turn around like recently, um, the donation thing, $20 that go put you on this list, right? And I'm citing uh, Citizens United, and it would be like, well, why are you citing Citizens United? How does that apply to you? It doesn't apply to us on our private side, but it does apply on the people that are in the public side that want the opportunity to get to the private side, showing that this mission is supported. And that's what that list is that's being built. That's what that is
So
for
would you
those
say that's
gates to open.
awareness for the public sector,
It's it
for people wanting to participate in that change?
Well, not only that, it's the support of the public sector that they want the opportunity to be able to participate in that change. That's what you're doing when your name ends up on that list. You are saying, I'm a member of the public, but I don't want to be in the public. I'm an upstanding individual. I'm a member of my community. I don't go out. I don't rob people. I don't steal. I don't oppress people. I don't do these things. I should not be stuck being identified as a corporate for-profit business or a infant. I'm more responsible than infant or adolescent child. Why am I stuck here? And that's really what you're doing is you're you're voicing you want the opportunity to be examined, to be able to go to that space in the private sector where you get those constitutional rights and they are exercisable, and you have the opportunity to get there, because that's really what we're doing is we're trying to open those doors so that people have that opportunity to cross over.
So, and that's a really good way of saying that too, because this is really what I wanted you to do when I asked that specifically on how I kind of worded that, so that you could make it better defined in that perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because that's important. It really is. Because you may think you have all these rights, but you really don't.
No, you
And
don't.
it's an illusion of freedom, and it's an illusion of these rights, and it's all been that way on purpose. And that's even within the court construct, that's why they don't allow you to speak. They don't ever want you to speak because why? You're considered to be ignorant of their uh
Language, their
yeah,
language.
their game really because he's their
Yeah,
referee and it's a court and it's really a game. It really is, right?
it's
And
tennis.
yes, and that's a whole part of it. And so I just want people to understand that this is what's being exposed, and by doing a donation or whatever, it's only $20. It's not where you're donating $500 or whatever. It's a $20 donation. Is it? I'm saying I don't want to be over here no more. Period.
And,
And
listen, if we could put people on there for free, that'd be great. The problem is when they Citizens United specifically connected the donation side to the First Amendment political speech side. And when Citizens United did that to use their weapon against them, that's using their weapon against them. That's what they went and did. Fine. Why is it $20? Because the Seventh Amendment says $20.
that's
So
right.
guess what? We're sticking to the Seventh Amendment. You guys want political, so the political speech is this? Fine. What's the minimum? $20. Why Seventh Amendment? Boom. But you're on the list. And when that list grows and it grows and it grows and it grows, that becomes a public to private political weapon, a sword. Well, how
And
many
that's
people? 9,000 people, 100,000 people are on
and
this
it will
list.
continue to exponentially grow as this has light put on it over time, and as we go through this process. And so, you know, this is the whole thing is they've used these words against you as citizens and public and all this crap that you had no idea how they were using them and what categories
Yep.
you were being put into.
Yep.
And you were just like, sign me up because you didn't know that they were basically, you know, sticking you in the backside at the same time that they were telling you that this is what you needed to do. And it's always been a word salad. We're just taking the words and taking them out of the salad, and that's the whole thing. So
Well, and we're using we're using what they did to give them a political eliteness. We're taking their tool, we're taking their weapon, and we're you know putting a little bit of modification on it and dropping it into a new application and exploiting it. We are using their weapons that they used against us against them. Well, I don't need to go build a new one. They made so many of them. All I got to do is find the ones that work for me, put a little twist on them, and fire them right back.
yeah, yeah, and
So
I've been
that's
using the court against them for about 16 years now, and like I
yeah,
said, I've won every case. I just won the last one too, and I think I won that back in May or whatever it was, or April, whatever. But the thing is that you have to operate within the construct that they've established and beat them at their own game, and they
right.
can't can stand that. And the funny part about it is that their game's completely falling apart. And when it does, then the new playing field, that's what's being established right now. This is what's being established from the top down. And when the lights come on, after lights get turned out, so to speak, then it's going to be a whole new
Ball
court,
game. Yeah,
whole new
whole new
court,
ball game.
whole new everything. And it's going to be wonderful. But we're in the tearing down stage right now. And when everything gets tore down, it looks ugly. There's chaos, everything else. But this is a process. You have to tear it down before you can rebuild it. It's just the way it is. So,
Yeah.
all right. Kelly,
Yes.
you're up.
Okay. Well, I have a question first, if that's okay. This
Okay.
this morning I did a little bit of a deep dive on the Russiagate probe that they're doing and how they moved the venue to Florida, the
Yep.
Southern District, potentially Fort Pierce or Miami. And this was strategically enabled by the 2022 Mar-a-Lago raid. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yes, so that's
Yeah.
how they were able to do that. So then I go on to list everyone that will be involved. And they're saying that this will not take place till January. So my question is this. A lot of these people committed treason. And that to me seems like it would be more of a military tribunal situation.
Hmm.
Do they have to go through this first in these courts in Florida to get to the point where the realization that, oh, this is something more?
So that's a great question. This would be the best answer, and I'm gonna say this is a complete opinion. Okay, this is my opinion. But what I think we're gonna see is something to the effect of the judicial process will be handled within the construct of their criminal court. But the declaratory judgments of fact will be declared at a territorial court with a different jury, and then those facts will be brought in to their criminal court. So the judge is not allowed to render his own facts. Those facts come at law through the Seventh Amendment, because the Seventh Amendment says no fact determined in a trial by jury can be reviewed by any court of the United States except at the rules of the common law. So, if they're using it the way it's supposed to be, they will be the mechanism of criminal prosecution, but there will be a separate fact declaring court, and those facts will be brought into the court. Indisputable. And that's how it's going to go. And those facts will be military, declared by
Yes.
through the military. The judicial criminal process will stay in its federal jurisdiction.
So the thing that I have always saw happening with that is similar, but that the judicial branch has been corrupted, and basically we are in a continuity of government right now and have been for years. And
Right.
basically that itself is going to start in a normal federal um, indictment type situation.
Prosecution.
Yes. But what's going to happen is the military is going to step in and take over these cases, because that part of the government is going to be dismissed of its judicial authority because it has been corrupted, and that it needs to be restructured. Um, and because of that, there's going to be a time period that is, I don't know whether it's 6 months or a year or whatever it is, that things are not going to be the way they are right now. Meaning your cities operating, your counties and
No.
your states, and so all of that is going to have to fall all under a military law, and it's going to be to where that has to be reclaimed in a
That's probably the best way.
capacity of being turned back over to civil authority. That's what you're setting up. That's what the military's setting up from the top down.
Right.
But in this process of where this is going to go, is all of that shit. And that's what it is, all shit. Is all going to get thrown in the garbage can, and anything that's in it is going to have to be transferred into the military court. That's why all these judge advocates are all over the place getting ready for this. That's why the military is setting up what they needed to set up for the martialization of the military, along with marshaling the police forces and veterans, because the systems that we have in place right now are all a part of the corporate construct and are not a part of the actual republic and cannot move forward into the republic as they are. So
Correct.
this all has to happen. So I think that that's a part of the first exposure part, but then all of that gets transferred into the military aspect and gets handled as in the way it needs to. And I think your part in that, Robert, talking about the facts-based part of that will be happening initially, and then that will become the actual criminal court that handles
Right. I agree with
them
that.
being prosecuted under military tribunals and being dealt with as treasonous pigs that they fucking are.
Well,
So,
it's interesting you say it that way. You're right. But remember, if you think back to the day, like they have to meet the court has to meet a certain threshold to maintain jurisdictional authority. If it's revealed within the case that they have superseded the threshold, then they must change venue
yeah.
because of the applied law that would go into that court. So it could start federal and actually move into a territorial or a continental court
Yeah,
because of the superseding of the threshold.
yeah, I
And
believe
that
that's
may be
what's
the way it's
always.
going to work.
Yeah, I've always believed that that's the way I always had it kind of shown to me through my spirit is how this is going to happen. Whether it does or doesn't, I don't know. This is just what I saw. Um, and that I may have just saw it a little different too. But it's going to happen that somehow way. Um, and this is all the first part of the
Right.
exposure. It's just like James Comey.
Tell me,
All right.
and he also is same month, January,
Yeah,
going
and
through
so
that.
basically his
Right.
actually started as this much smaller thing, lying to Congress. Yeah, whatever. But it's going to actually be this over here, which is, you're getting put to death, buddy, because you were a part of the whole thing. Clapper,
Right.
Brennan, Obama, all of them. But this is a part of the process of going that it's this, but we're going to take it to that. And it's like, oh shit, no, it's this. And it's kind of like allowing the public to see the step process of the actual judicial law by the military operate properly and pass out justice the way that it's supposed to, that we've never seen before, ever.
Yeah,
No, because it's been 100 years since any of that was even active. Here's
yeah. I
something
mean,
else to consider. Sorry,
that's
Kelly.
okay. I was just going to say real quick, let's face it, a lot of people don't even know anything about this. So
Right.
they have to witness it in a normie kind of situation in a courtroom.
Norm.
I don't, you
I
know what I
love it.
mean? And then
Yeah.
follow it along to where, oh, wow, really? Now it's moving into military. And then they're
So
learning about that.
something else to consider that they may be putting the kibosh on by doing it this way, where it's going to meet a threshold and it's going to be transferred because of the threshold that it meets, is they are actually changing the precedence of arbitrary dismissal of cases. By doing that, you are showing a conveying mechanism of the court to be able to move. It's not, this isn't the right venue. Move it. It's got to go here. It doesn't discount the controversy. It's saying that that court doesn't handle that scope of that controversy.
Mhm.
So we have to move it. And that, because one of the biggest things that needs to be shut down in the civil court system is the arbitrary dismissals, the summary judgment dismissal, the nope, dismissed. No. You're not allowed to dismiss. Under common law, cases cannot be dismissed unless it is the petitioner themselves withdrawing the petition. That's the rule under common law. So what it may do is force and override that system to go, no, unless the petitioner agrees to withdraw, the case is either going to be moved to a jurisdiction that can handle it, or it's going to go forward in that jurisdiction, and that's the end of it. The controversy will be brought to settle. Period. And that might be part of what they're doing, is to override that arbitrary dismissal system.
I think it's all the above, actually. I mean, the way it's all kind of being, it's kind of like where you're getting a crash course in, lawfare. You're getting a crash course in legal ease and everything else that, even the constitutional issues that we've had just over the last several years on things that have happened that have never happened, or happened in a way that's never happened, that is exposing the public to all these things that they've never seen before, or even who happened, right? And I think it's about a crash course in getting to the understanding of what it means to be sovereign and knowing what's going on around us all and what we're supposed to be responsible for, that we had no idea what those things even were before, but we are learning them exponentially quick. And there's so much more that we will learn. Why? So that we never allow this to ever happen again, period. Never sneak up on you. Never come back in a wolf in sheep's clothing and not realizing, go, no, I recognize this. This ain't happening again. No way.
Right.
And so it's just like the, communists that just got elected in New York City, right? It's like, do you think that really happened? No, that's bullshit. But the deal is that why? Why did it happen? And what do you think's going to come from that? I think it's a learning process. I think it's a part of how it's going to expose that you can't do these things, why, and how it's going to play out. And it's kind of like what Trump said like yesterday or day before or whatever. He's like, if he does this stuff, we're just going to arrest him. We're going to throw his ass in jail. We're not going to play with that. It's like, you're not going to. So the deal is that all of these states, all these governors and all this, they're all playing a part in what's happening right now. And they're not liking what they're having to do, because the deal is that they know that the federal law is that it trumps anything that they try to put out there that is counterproductive of what the federal law states. And it's like, to say that you're not going to do it in our jurisdiction is basically committing treason against the government. And it's like they're doing it openly. And it's like, and they think that they don't have the right to put in the military to go. This is why it's all being exposed this way. Because why? Because actually, this is what they were going to do. And this is what they plan to do, is to basically break the country up, take these rights away from us, bring us into a civil war, and break down the whole system so that the UN could step in and take us to basically having no rights.
To a dumpster? Like, where are they going to take us? You know what I think? I think there's a bigger part in the debt that they ran up. And if they could get the nation dissolved, they would never have to owe or pay back that debt. Yes. And I don't think they ever fathomed that the American people were going to put their republic back together and turn around and say, well, I mean, that's not our debt. We've been working for you for 200 years. You racked up that debt, and now you owe the American people $37 trillion. Question
Yeah,
is,
that's
are
actually
we going to
what's
call it in, or are we going to work out some kind of a really nice trade deal? Which one do you
well, it's
want?
already was bankrupted, and the deal is that we've already I've shown the bankruptcy papers there that Trump actually did, and
Right. But I'm talking about the debt holder
yeah,
is
yeah, no, I
actually
get exactly
is
what you're talking.
actually the foreign organization. We're not wiping that debt from them. They're going to pay back that debt. They borrowed all that money from us.
Yeah, and the thing is that they don't even, well, the public doesn't even know that that's already been done. Actually, it's already been done. I
Oh
know when it
yeah,
was paid, and it was actually
but
taken back for us all.
what I'm saying is they I think that they were trying to destabilize the nation enough that we would never get to the point to be able to say, hey,
Oh,
by the
you're
way,
absolutely right. That was
yo
the
us
Yeah,
$37 trillion.
100%.
Yeah, that was the intent originally.
Yeah, I agree.
It was
I think that was
literally
the
coming
true
into
intent.
play that was not supposed to ever lose,
Right.
because they had it rigged for it. But the military stepped in and they didn't allow it to be stolen. That was just, and that freaked them off. They lost their shit over that.
So,
Um,
so this brings up another point, Captain. So that's supposed to take place in January. However, they know they're walking down this trail too, and they're not wanting to go down that trail.
they don't have a
So, so what could they do in the meantime to try to stop or divert it? Is the question.
I think that we've hit submission. I don't. I think that they've been told you like you. There is enough evidence on these people that they're gonna walk the line. They've been put in their place. They're gonna walk the line. They're gonna parrot the talk. They're gonna walk it and make sure that our social civil structure is gonna stay intact until the transition's over with. Because if they incite any kind of violence, if they get out of line, they're gonna get snatched up, and they know it. And I think that resistance. Now they may walk down that line being drugged, but they're gonna take every step while they're getting dragged along. But I don't think we're gonna see that resistance anymore. I think that we have hit submission. They know they're against the wall. There are no options.
So the only part that's outside of that is the foot soldier part of this and the exposure of those individuals and groups that are going to still do things that are ugly. But everybody has already been dealt with as far as it goes. Now, the
Yeah.
bottom foot soldiers, that's the things that are being dealt with right now. And they're operating kind of blindly. And you can see the um, disorganization
No
of it.
real leadership. Yeah.
There is none because it's not coming from the top anymore. And the things that are coming from the top is basically it's all being parroted from one state to another state. That's all a part of that same um, corruption, but it has to walk that line all the way to the end because all of these other individuals and groups that were a part of the apparatus has to expose itself, has to do the things that they need to do. You got to do the crime to do the time, so to speak. It can't be the thought police and what was that one where um, they went after you before you did the crime. Um,
Oh, the Minority Report.
yes, and it can't be that either. They actually have to do the stuff,
Precog.
and
The precogs.
yeah, precog, and so they have to do the criminal acts, and there's a lot of that that's still going to take place, and that's a part of the process that we're going through right now. And so, but these events that actually take place as well actually bring exposure to their actual plan that they had for us to bring us to our knees, but it's going to be done in a way that shows the exposure to it. It's got a backstop, and it will bring us to the place that we need to go to instead of the place they wanted us to go to. There's a
Right.
big difference.
I agree with that.
All right, let me get some of these questions, and I feel bad we took up that time.
Yeah, we had to cut it short last time.
Yeah. Okay, so here is Trump Patriot would like to know, will Puerto Rico become its own sovereign territory jurisdiction?
I don't know. So that's a good question. Because we're moving back to a hemispherical and continental, these jurisdictions are opening. Puerto Rico technically will have to decide if it's going to become an American territory or if it's going to remain a commercial U.S. territory. And that's something it'll have to decide for itself, because there really is going to be this transition from U.S. locations or U.S. states or U.S. territories to North American territories, and that's going to have to be decided. I think we're going to see, basically, overall, the United States of America is inherently going to be the 36 countries of North America, and I don't know how many countries of South America. And that's going to be what is called the United States of America. I think that that's what you're going to see, because it's almost once every couple lifetimes that the geopolitical map is restructured with a new political body operating on Earth. Like, it doesn't happen a lot. That's a very rare event. So I don't know, but I would probably say that Puerto Rico is going to become a part of the North American alliance of countries, the 36 countries that are there, including Canada and Mexico and the United States.
Because it's in it. From what I understand, is we're going to fall back into the 7 original kingdoms, and basically under that, it will be a part of that
Yeah,
kingdom.
we're definitely going to move into a continental type apparatus.
But they're going to have
for
their own
identity.
sovereignty in a way that is very difficult to explain right now, because there's no perspective for you to see, because it has never been this way. It's like,
Right.
it would be like, almost like, say, Texas. Texas was its own country at one point. It's an actual republic itself, and it's a part of the United States. Does it give it different standing within the United States? It does, actually, whether you realize it or not. But if it was truly the way it's supposed to be and not this corruptness, then it would have even more jurisdiction over the state and territory of Texas, and the people actually that are within it would have more sovereignty if it was actually the way that it's supposed to be. But it's not. So it's really hard to be able to explain sovereignty to someone that has never experienced it, not know what it is, not understand what common law is, and to do no harm, be responsible for all your own actions, and to imagine not having any insurance because you're responsible for your actions, period. None, zero. And so
Yeah. It's going to be a tough transition for people.
That's where it's going to be, is that then you were self-insured because you took care of your responsibilities, and you didn't have a law forcing you to have insurance, which was criminal theft, and taking your money to insure you against something that most likely would never happen. And if it does actually happen, then they either cancel you or they raise your freaking rates after you've actually paid into it forever. And so
Yep.
this is where, like a lot of companies, big corporations, they don't have insurance like you and I do. They're self-insured. So when
Right.
something happens to them, they actually pay for it out of pocket with a policy that they've been funding specifically for that. Um, and that's kind of what we will be um, in the going forward. And so it's kind of like each state will have its own sovereignty. Every different location will have its own sovereignty, will be governed by the people within those communities. And it's not going to be the same everywhere. It's not going to be the same. So, like here in Texas where I live, it's not going to be the same for the people like in New York. It's not. We'll
No.
have basic, small governing rules. And then what we have here will be how we want to live, how we want to do things. And then they're going to have things that they want to do here, and they're going to have ways they do things here. And if you don't like it, you can either leave or you can change it. That's
Nope.
the way it was in the
Whoops.
beginning.
Sorry.
If you didn't like how the rules were, like in Texas, you could move to California or vice versa, right? Because the way that they did things were different originally. And so um, one of the things that we say here in Texas is don't California in my Texas, because all those freaking people came from California to Texas and they changed Austin into freaking crazy town. It's like a whole bunch of freaking nuts from California came to Austin, and a bunch of freaking cuckoos.
Well, having these community trusts in place will regulate some of that, because the community, a lot of places, that are smaller, the community is going to have to be able to accept that individual, kind of more like what an HOA would be, where an HOA is like you have to get cleared by the HOA. These community assembly councils will, people are moving in or whatever, because the way the assets are held, especially private residential property is being held within that structure. It's going to limit that bombardment mechanism of like this mass migration from one place to another, and now all of a sudden the whole area is just turned upside down socially or culturally. Like that's going to get reeled back um, at the at the at the at the community level, at the council level.
Yes.
Okay, the next question is from Cal. Why are they letting people like Dick Cheney die a natural death when we know he was very bad? Aren't they going to tell the American people the truth when truth comes out, or will this be years? We all know the truth. Everyone else needs to know how bad these people are. Thank you.
I I think that you're going to see that, but right now, I think with all the transition, they're not going to start going down the rabbit holes of revealing what all that these people have done and the stuff that they perpetrated. I think that's something that'll come out in due time once
Yes.
we get through this transition. We have to stay focused on what's important, and right now what's important is this transition period. You can't
Yes.
just start unraveling all the boxes and throw everything everywhere, because
And I
that's
think
really
it
what's going to happen.
will come out especially during a lot of these trials that'll be going on.
Oh yeah, I agree with
Absolutely.
that. I agree with
Yeah.
that.
But at this time, the purpose is those that know that these individuals that have been dying off and everything else are not going back into these positions, whatever, or stepping down or retiring or whatever. They've all been dealt with. They're not coming back into the public space. And in the proper time, those things that need to be exposed for those disclosure moments, everything will be revealed in due time. But right now, it's not time to just start flinging fucking poo out on the walls and
Right.
see what sticks. That will cause destruction of the
And
things that they built.
distraction when people
Yeah.
are need to be focused on get their communities organized, because none of this, something that's been that I've elaborated on. Everybody talks about, like, you're going to have access to your trust, you're going to have this stuff. That is not coming until there is a mechanism where that bridges those things together, and those judge advocates and those administrators are in place to be able to allow that conveyance or administration to happen. So until those trusts are put in place, that stuff's not happening. They're not going to come to one person in the town. The town must be organized, must be properly structured lawfully. It must have its delegate representatives in place, its tribunals in place for that connection to be made. Those people who are designated, that have been put as delegates, they have to be vetted. They're going to need certain levels of security clearance because of the work that they're going to be doing representing their community. Like, that stuff all has to still happen, and nothing is going to happen until that's done.
And that's going to be a transition period of going from the military control back into civil jurisdiction and having it passed back over to us. That's that period of they're going to be taking care of their business, and it's going to be laid out. We're going to have to take care of our business at that point.
Right.
And in doing so, once those things are fully established, then the military will now pass over civilian control back to its place. That's what a republic actually is. And so they can't.
Because the community is properly formed in its formation to be ready to receive the responsibility.
Yep. So when Trump said we're passing back the control, the country back over to you, this is what's been happening. They're doing their part. Now, the part that means that they have to take over, because all of this fake, you know, crap that's going on now,
Construct. It's just construct.
all of this has to collapse. So in collapsing, because it has to all come down so that it can be put back in place correctly, during that period, there has to be a mechanism that keeps us from going into complete, utter chaos and
Right.
anarchy. That's the military stepping in and doing those things in which I said before, so that all of this city council and all this corporate construct shit can all get removed. You have a backstop in place, which is your military and your martialization of those systems, so that law and order can stay in place, so that we can now do those things that we must to bring forth our communities the way that they're supposed to be set up. There will be a roadmap for you, so don't worry about that. And when we actually establish that, then the military can back away, back to its place, and allow us to step into our authority like we're supposed to. That's and it's nothing to be afraid of. They're not trying to take over and be a military freaking, dictatorship or anything else. No, they're going to take all this crap down. And then when they do, there has to be a way for us to keep peace, law, and order, and not anarchy. And in doing that, then it'll be our time to step into those places to establish, just like what you're saying, our communities, our trusts, and all that crap will have to get put in place, which will. And as soon as that happens, then that control will be passed back over to its rightful place, which is you.
Yep. Because they're ready to receive what is theirs.
But not till you're ready. And you
Right.
don't know what you need to do yet. Wait till this happens. The roadmap will be put in place, because it's going to be different ever freaking where, because everybody's going to have a different view of how their communities are ran. It'll have a certain framework, but it'll all be different. That's what
Yeah.
you'll figure out during this time of transition. So it's going to be beautiful, people. It's like this is the greatest time in the world to be alive. Really is.
Yeah.
Okay, next question's from Colo Grandma One. And if you don't mind, Captain, I'll go ahead and answer it because it's an easy one. Okay, she says, I'm confused. Did SCOTUS vote against the tariffs? And if so, now what? When will SCOTUS rule on Trump's tariffs? A ruling about Trump's tariffs isn't expected till early 2026. Oh, isn't that a coincidence? Lines right up with the trial. Although some experts think a ruling may be handed down by the SCOTUS sooner. So, with all the Mockingbird media scaring everybody, please don't watch that. It's just all BS, and they haven't ruled on it, and they won't for a little while. You'll know it
So,
when they do.
so let me take that answer and make it even better for people.
Sure.
Um, so during this time, the deal with it is that the executive branch makes foreign policy. Period. Not the judicial branch, not Congress. Not it is the executive branch, and the Constitution is real clear about that. They don't have no control over how we do shit. Period. But the other part of that is that we also have said that this country was bankrupted and it no longer exists the way that you think it does. And so we don't have any trade agreements with any country anywhere, period. Those had to all be reestablished. That's what these
Yep.
are. These are new trade agreements. And in trade
Because it's
agreements,
a new country.
bingo, ding, 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 ding,
And,
ding.
and
If
all
you
the ones that are fighting against it, there you go. You have your answer as to what side they're on.
Yep.
exactly. And if you don't know, then just keep your mouth shut because we're reestablishing actual trade agreements that were never in place under the Republic. Because why? Because the Republic hasn't been here for 100 some years. So
Yep.
this is all new trade agreements because we didn't have any. We had to establish trade agreements to move forward. This is a part of the new government of the republic. Why? What?
Right.
So under the real original republic, right? What was the government responsible for? Only four things:
Uh, what
foreign policy,
trade, treaty, foreign
foreign policy,
policy, uh, domestic
trade.
regulation of commerce.
That's correct.
Um,
International trade that cross borders and I mean state lines.
right. Um,
Public services,
public
and the
services.
protection of the people. That's it.
Right.
Commerce, money. There was four or five, I can't remember exactly, but there's only like four or five things, and that's it. That's all that they had
Right.
responsibility for. That's what
Well,
we're going
because
back
there
to.
was all that back infrastructure that was picking up the load of everything else that was supposed to be dealt with. And that's when those infrastructures collapsed, the whole load got put into one document. The rest of them were just gone.
Yeah. And so this is what it's showing you that these processes are actually taking place. It's like telling you without telling you. These things have to
Right.
happen for us to get to where we're going. Every single one of them.
Okay. Thank you, Captain. And thank you, Robert. Here's the next
Well,
one. Gator Adam. I don't go by dates, but by events. What is your thoughts about the 22nd with the banks having to use ISO 20022 tokenized assets? How do you perceive the unfolding of this day? Do you believe it will be more behind the scenes events like most seem to happen? Thank you, Captain Kyle.
Yes, it
This is
will.
definitely
They're
not an
already
answer I can get into.
they're already
I'm not.
using they're already using the blockchain. They're already using all of these systems. Um, it's it's what is going to take place that has to happen that causes the financial systems to implode and to have to go through a restabilization process. Because they're not just going to go one day it's going to be this and next day, oh, look, we're going to this new system. That ain't going to happen. No, because too many people would say, no, we're not changing. It's like something has to take place for the shit to hit the fan, total collapse, whatever. And then you're going to go through a little scare period where it's like, oh shit, I'm broke. I have no money. And what am I going to do? Because too many people, their God is their money because that's what they rely on, period. And
Yep.
you're going to have to realize that it's not, it's only a tool, and that the White Hats foreseen this to be the way that they were going to do things and show it to the people and then go, look, we knew this was going to happen. It had to happen. Then we also had a backstop in place. So all those things in which you thought you lost, you didn't. And here they are. And here's our new system. So whether it's going to be the
What are
22nd
you doing?
or January the 1st, nobody freaking knows, period. On purpose.
So to that point, Granny USA asks, everyone says we are so close to the end. I'd like to know what is the meaning of close?
Well, it
It'll
depends
be
on your
done. I
perspective.
say done by July 2026.
So it's
And
all
well, we're
the
going to be
close
starting
is
to
what your
celebrate.
perspective is, because your perspective is you've been awake, not saying that person, but you've been awake for 2 years. So if you've been awake for 2 years, close might be to you like next week or next month. But somebody like me that's been in this for 18 years, close might be freaking any time. I don't freaking tomorrow. Hell, I don't know. Because it's not about a day or a time, because I don't go by days and times. I go by every day I wake up and I get one day closer to it happening. Plain and simple. And I know I'm one day closer. Um, and to me, my perspective of time has accelerated so
Harley,
much that it's like
stop.
I don't even know where this freaking year went. It's already freaking November the
I
6th.
know. I can't believe it.
I know.
And so my perspective of time has
I don't know where
so
2 hours went.
yeah. Well, it's like that because the time hasn't accelerated in the actual ticking, but the perception of time and way we perceive it has accelerated. And those that are pessimistic, their time has actually slowed down. It's the
Yep.
way you perceive it. And so there goes back to that train again. Which one do you want to be on?
Okay.
All
So,
right, Kat, let's do one more question, and we're gonna let Robert and his doggies off this call.
Get on the road.
alrighty. This is a question from Rumble, somebody in Rumble chat. Do the police and sheriff departments already know about all of this, or even some of it? Just wondering because I still see them operating like business as usual.
Only
I
those
would
ones
say
that. So I know exactly what this is. Then I'll let you take from there. Some
go
have
ahead.
actually participated already in military training operations for this very thing to actually happen. Those that have not are not necessarily in the know, and everybody's still operating as usual. That's even if they know. Um, because until it's actually publicly made known, they can't operate any differently, period. So There are plenty of those that have actually already participated in these training. I first found out about the training exercises happening 2 years ago during the summertime. Um, and they were actually doing joint training operations together. And so for this exactly thing that we're talking about right now, um, some of these police departments are a part of some investigations. So those not going to be in the know. So um, I don't know
Yeah.
which ones know and which ones don't, but they do.
I,
Meaning,
I would say that I would say that you probably have individual officers who have been processed through with security clearances that are higher, and they know, but they have been instructed to follow policy and procedure, uh, 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 status quo until the transition happens, and those nefarious individuals are extricated from their organization, and those people with the security clearances are going to be the gap fill for that transition to take place. I think you're going to see a more integrated type law enforcement system that's gonna encompass the Marine Corps, and you're probably going to see the veterans who are marshaled are going to be active in that system too,
yep.
operating directly, because these veterans that have these high level security clearances, they should be there. They already have the security clearances to be there. That's why they got those security clearances, and they should be there. That's their that's their domestic defense duty.
And
So you're going to
and
see
that
a
will
more
be their
cohesive
opportunity.
organism as far as law enforcement.
And that will be their opportunity to step back up and do something if
Yep.
they so choose to.
Well, of
The,
course, it's got to be
the door
voluntary.
will be, a path has been made for, there are so many veterans right now, and I think you have experienced, there are so many veterans right now that want to do something, want to participate
Yep.
in things that are going on right now, but they don't want to participate in the shit that's already out there.
Right.
They're
I,
against it 100%.
so I've got a friend who has actually talked to some judge advocates that are retired and veterans that are retired, and told them, "What can you imagine a world where the veterans are sitting in juries ruling on American matters of law, fact of law, and that's their domestic duty, is to sit on these juries and hear these cases and declare these facts that need to be brought into these other courts so that these cases can be dealt with." And the response she's getting is, where do I sign up? Like, where do I sign up to go sit on these juries and exercise that domestic defense and exercise that mechanism? So the veterans that do have heard about it, they are literally foaming at the mouth, salivating to be a part of that system coming online, and
So also,
their role is going to be huge in that
so
happening.
also imagine this right here, because I have, and I've actually talked to people, um, that if you wanted to keep all of the schools safe, right? If you actually really truly wanted to, then you could actually hire, just like you hire teachers, you could hire ex-military that are not all whacked out, but that are highly trained and really have no real mission anymore because that's all been gone away. But you
Right.
give
Well,
them,
they're not in that space.
yes, so you give them a mission to protect the kids, and you put two or three military trained protection forces at every school across our country. This shooting up of kids and shooting up of stupid shit, that would never happen again. That shit would be over, period. But it would also give all of these um, veterans a responsibility of being watchers and
Right.
protect of our future. And that, man, I tell you what, they would take a bullet for those kids any day of the week and happily do it, right? And so
Right.
you're not going to have any of this cuckoo shit no more. And it's like it would give them that mission that they every day they feel like that they were going to do something that was good, right? And that doesn't mean go out there and be some freaking cuckoo because most of them aren't. There's only the very few that got all screwed up in the shit that they had to deal with, right? But even at
Yeah.
that, that would give them a way back too because they're not going to do anything to the kids. I can guarantee that. That ain't
No,
going
I
to.
agree. I agree.
But if you come in there and you got ill intent, you would better watch the hell out, period. So if
Robert,
they
can I ask one more quick question? It's concerning your. It says if we were a founder, do we need to get on a new list with another donation?
Yes. So the founders founded the three organizations that were using to basically mechanize this. So they had the Our United Republic, the American National Republic. That's what that was for. This other thing, that's why it's on the other button. It's not the same. It's not even the same link because that was all shut down.
Yeah. By the way,
That
I
is,
shared your website and your channel so that they could find all that right on your
thank you.
website.
So yes, that is a separate thing that's being used for a separate purpose than what the actual founder shares are. And once we're fully operational, everything's up, that's where the recordings will happen and the instruments will go out, all that stuff when we get that stuff finished. So we're still working on that, but this is the phase to get that done. But yes, that other side is for a different purpose.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps us up for tonight. I'm gonna let you get back on the road and you
Thank
drive
you.
some.
It was a
And
pleasure.
It was fun.
absolutely,
Thank
I
you.
enjoyed the shit out of it. 2 hours into it, and we could go for another two easy. So there's so much that we can discuss, and so I understand people feeling like they're not sure about things. It's okay. There's going to be a time, there's going to be a learning process that everyone's going to go through, and you're just going to feel your way through it. And there's going to be, it's kind of like bowling with freaking curbs. There's going to be curbs up, and you can just toss it down there. You're going to hit some pins. You may not get a strike, but you're going to hit some pins. You're not going to go in the gutter. It's all right. So
Right.
everything will be okay. So don't worry so much. Just let things happen. God's got it figured out. You'll get it figured out too. And there's going to be rails on for everybody. So just be encouraged about that. So, Robert will be back, not this weekend, but next weekend, back on our regular
Yes.
schedule. So,
Our regular scheduled programming.
that's right. That is absolutely right. We got a mission and we're going to stick to it. So, all right, guys. Robert, it's been great. Kelly,
Take care,
and
everybody. Thank
all
you.
guys, we love you and we will talk to you guys
Love you
again.
all. Have a good night.